Rand.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of The Current State at Give Me Rent. I'm Noah.
I'm Dylan.
Today, we are going to be looking into the Tron franchise. We have Tron Ares, the third entry, coming soon, about 2 weeks away at this point.
Two weeks away from today, where this recording. Exactly 2 weeks away.
And,
kinda wild.
with this third movie coming very soon, we wanted to talk about the other two films and the franchise as a whole. We have our concerns going into Ares. There's definitely some clear things that are cause for concern, but also a few things that have us very excited.
Yeah.
But let's
Same
first
time.
go back to the beginning of this franchise. Let's talk about 1982's Tron. What are your thoughts on this film, Dylan? What do you really? I mean, I'm assuming you're more of a legacy guy, which is the second film in the franchise.
Well, we both definitely grew up in a time when Legacy was coming out. Tron is.
I would say, for
There's
me
a massive
personally,
jump between Tron and Tron Legacy too. 1982 to 2010. It was just
Of course.
a huge
Of course.
jump. The fans of this franchise waited so long for a sequel to be made. But to talk about the original, it's definitely a dated film in nowadays when you watch it. But this movie pioneered so much for just the film.
well, it's
the film
credited
industry in
with
general.
bringing in such a big extensive use of CGI.
Yeah.
And
It's really
it
the
kind
first-
of laid the groundwork for what filmmaking would be today.
It's the first use of like an all CGI environment, which is something you see in a lot of, especially a lot of the big blockbusters nowadays. Think about Avatar and stuff like that. Like, you see this stuff everywhere now, and Tron was really the first movie to do that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Avatar because I kind of when I think about Tron Legacy as well, I kind of credit it as it came out a year after Avatar.
Yeah.
But the use of CGI in that, and it's not as good as Avatar, I'd say, but especially in the world building and stuff, it was a crazy leap forward from the original Tron. Obviously, it really added on to just how the original movie when you watch it obviously springs your imagination. It's dated now, and what I mean by back then when it came out, that use of CGI, that's all they really had. It's dated, but it still really created an entire world. Most
Yeah.
of the film takes place in what they call the grid.
Yeah.
And I would say that, even when we were watching it, we watched the new remastered 4K of it. It actually looked very, very, it was a great remaster. But for its time, it really was impressive.
100%. It was something people had never seen before, without a doubt. Like it was. I mean, even watching it now, it's you could feel that. You really do feel that it was something brand new that had never been done before. And also just speaking to the concepts on screen, like it really is great as a sci-fi franchise alone, even not even thinking about the technical aspects. Like, Tron actually has a lot to say about AI and what computers actually, computers and humans interacting with each other.
Well,
what that really
I think with
means.
this new one coming out, it's a perfect time.
Yeah,
Obviously.
exactly. That's it's no. Well, it took a while. It took 15 years from Ares, from Legacy, but it kind of it's more. I think this IP is more relevant than ever.
Well, I think what's interesting, the story of Tron, we're not going to delve into it all too much, but even from the first one, it is about digital beings, artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
trying to kind of enter and influence our world.
Yeah.
And this third movie is finally going to deliver on that promise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very interesting, but there are a few concerns going into this third movie, especially, there's a lot of fans of Legacy. And I was trying to say before, personally, my entry point to this franchise and my love for it begins with Legacy.
Yeah.
100%. I was 8 years old when it came out. And I think right when I saw it in theaters, I was just so enthralled by it. I remember just watching it all the time, after buying the DVD as well. And I know a lot of people are upset that we're not going to be continuing with those characters.
Yeah. I am upset. I mean,
And,
it's not even like we were met with the greatest characters. I think Kevin Flynn is a great legacy character for the franchise, and as we know, he will be returning in Ares in some form.
well, yeah, I think
But-
what I was trying to say,
Yeah.
with the characters, I like the characters. And when I was, little, I really enjoyed the story and the characters and all that. But rewatching it, I obviously can see a few weak points. The script isn't as strong as I remembered. The characters, there's not all too much to them.
But still, I think conceptually, especially for Kiora and Sam's story, especially where they end up at the end of Legacy.
Exactly.
I would like to see where that leads, especially that was it was a huge implication for the franchise, and clearly we see Tron Ares there entering into the world now, but that already happened. Kiora was a digital being that entered into the real world. That was the end of Legacy, so it was. It's really everyone's question at the end of the movie is what happens next, and it would be really interesting that they're not mentioned whatsoever.
I will say, for the record, I like Sam Flynn and Cora. I'm just saying there isn't all too much to them. But you're right. I think it's very interesting how the last one, spoiler alert, it left you off with bringing a digital being into the real world.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't look like we're going to see that character in this film. It's going to be a brand new story about doing the exact same thing, bringing digital beings into the real world.
Yeah.
But I think...
Which was always, I think, the necessary jump the franchise would take.
No, for sure.
The first movie's about entering the digital world. Now it's about entering the real world.
This is the necessary place the franchise needs to go. I'm just saying the story looks a little... There's a few concerns there. One interesting aspect, I think, is that we see the return of the Dillinger family. Yeah. Edward Dillinger is the villain, or I'd say, Earth villain of the first film, who talks to, the antagonist, the Master Control Program. Yeah. So, every single Tron movie has had a member of the Dillinger family. I know Cillian Murphy played one of them in Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the film.
Edward Dillinger Jr.
Of course, the junior to the first character. And now in this movie, it looks like we have two members of the Dillinger family, Evan Peters and I think Gillian Jacobs.
Gillian Anderson.
Anderson, I believe. Sorry about that. And... it's very interesting to see that I think they're kind of taking the forefront.
Especially because it's heavily implied that Sam is taking over the company at the end of Legacy.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's weird to see that it kind of goes back from Dillinger to Flynn to Dillinger to Flynn back to Dillinger again. That just seems really kind of that's just kind of wild.
It's interesting as well. It looks like they may have designed their own grid, and I'll delve into that just quickly. Each Tron movie shows a different grid. The first movie has, the first base program that Flynn did design, but after the events of that movie, we know that he designed the second grid, which we see in Tron Legacy. Mm-hmm. And I think the glimpses we've got of this third grid, which I'm assuming is designed by the Dillingers, it looks very different from Flynn's. I'm very intrigued to see how they present it. It just looks very more industrialized and rough than what we saw in Legacy. And I am hoping we do see the return of Flynn's grid as well. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But I also know there's rumors that we're going to see the grid from the first film as well. So I think there's a lot of possibilities going into it. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see how much the digital world is even included.
We've been saying this. I don't think... It's been a while since I've been praying a movie is going to be good this much. Because I really do have quite a bit of concerns. I mean... alone just seeing Jared Leto on the poster of this movie is enough for me to be a little worried. I'm just
with Leto always comes concern, with franchise movies especially, that's kind of where he got his rep for being Jared Leto, where he's at right now.
This, I mean, Jared Leto in sci-fi has definitely worked in the past. That's definitely worked with a franchise before, but I think it's a little different. He is leading this movie. His face is all over it. And it's definitely a little cause for concern.
But I think what's notable, what we should note is that Leto has been attached to this project for I think the better part of a decade.
Very true. This has been a passion project of his for quite some time, and he is financing some of this movie himself. He really wanted to get.
But there is some concern with this as well because I'm not positive if this is really true, but I did hear, or I researched a little bit that there's a possibility that he was presented with another Tron project before developing Ares.
Yeah.
Which would have been a more direct follow-up to Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said no, and he turned it down.
Yeah.
And, with Jared Leto, it always gets you concerned. Is like, does he want to have full control over what's going on here and how he's presented in the film?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. And I think... I hope he didn't. He looks to be a true fan, of Tron, from how they're presenting it,
Yes. Does that mean?
But
that
does
he's
that mean he's
in
an
the movie?
actual care for this franchise? Does he have actual care for where this franchise is going to go? I don't know. Yeah. Is it just going to be 2 hours of him trying to show off in some way? I don't know. But another noteworthy thing about this film is that obviously with every Tron film you have to mention the music.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's talk about a positive real quick,
Yeah,
or at least
I'm gonna move
something
away
that
from
looks
Leto.
a little bright.
I'm gonna move away from Leto because listen, you can mention it a lot. I just think it was noteworthy to say, like, if he did turn down another Tron project, very bizarre, which just another cause for concern.
Yeah, definitely.
But moving on, to the music to itself, like he's not involved with that.
Well,
this is a separate thing.
music has been a staple in this franchise ever since the beginning. You have original songs from Journey in the original movie.
Yeah.
But obviously, for Tron Legacy, you have the fantastic album from Daft Punk, which is just maybe one of I know it's one of your favorite movie scores ever done.
I just think it's one of my favorite albums. I think they killed it. Obviously, we know. For those that don't know, Daft Punk were super fans of Tron, and they weren't approached to. From what I believe, they were not approached to do that film. They heard about it, that it was happening, and they just presented that they wanted to do it, and it might be one of the best scores for a reason because even if you listen to it by itself, it's great, but it enhances the scene so much, and I think that's why it's the movie doesn't have Legacy doesn't have the best script and the best story. It's really enhanced by its visuals, aesthetic, and the music from Daft Punk.
The music, yeah.
They made it actually have no pun intended a legacy, and it definitely is a big reason why people wanted it to continue. We don't know if they did continue the franchise, if Daft Punk would have continued to do that. Sadly, Daft Punk is now broken up. They've been broken up for about 4 years now. We do have 9 Inch Nails coming in to fill in the shoes.
Yes.
That's obviously very notable. I think when I heard the news.
Yeah, well, when we both heard the news, it was interesting because I think we were both. Well, first of all, when we both heard the news, we heard 9 Inch Nails, which was very interesting because, as we know, Trent and Atticus Ross have also scored. Also scored films as their normal names. So we were kind of thinking, what's going on here? Are they going to do mostly vocal songs, or is it going to be mostly instrumental? What's going on here? And now we've had a taste of the album a little bit. It's released now before the movie. When you have heard, it's going to be a bit of both. It's a bit of a score and also some music that does have some lyrics.
I'd say based on my impressions, I'm not going to delve into how much I thought of it because I really am waiting to see it accompanied with the film. I do think it was really solid, and it definitely was a 9 Inch Nails album in a lot of areas. But it was obviously a film score, like clearly.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to wait and see how I think about. I do like the songs with the lyrics. I think they're great songs, but I'm gonna have to wait and see how they flow in a Tron film.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I will say, it's a very interesting album that I feel like harkens back to '82, and Legacy in some respects, while obviously being its own thing. But I think it was very interesting listening to it the first time. I definitely get a huge hint that they're trying to really lean back to that '82 film. Mm-hmm. Legacy, it does definitely in the story reference a lot of characters: Kevin Flynn, Alan, the Dillingers, like we mentioned, and Clue, of course.
I mean, honestly, real quick, let's talk about Tron.
And Tron,
dude. I mean, if you haven't really kept up with the franchise, or really just either haven't seen the franchise or forgotten, because there's a lot in this franchise. Tron is a program that's originally created by Alan in the original movie to protect the grid, and he fights for the users. Tron also appears, and he also looks like Alan, but also Tron appears in Legacy briefly, especially in some flashbacks. You do see him.
Well,
but
it's more than briefly because it's revealed that he is the Rinsler
character.
And Tron is a villain in the second film, Tron Legacy.
Yes.
But by the end of that film, he does sacrifice himself to take out Clue, or attempts to take out Clue, the main villain of the film.
And you do see his light.
You do see a little glimmer that, he may be alive. He may have, he obviously realizes that, I guess he just switched. It wasn't as strongly written, but it was presented that Tron
that light
was
does
now a
turn
good
back
guy.
from blue. Turns back to blue from red.
Yeah.
And it does give, some indication that maybe Tron will come back. However, that could have been the end of Tron 2. You never know. But the franchise is called Tron.
But another concern for Aries is that will we see a Tron film without Tron?
Yeah.
I also heard some theories that Ares might be Tron. I don't know how to feel about that. I really hope that's not true. But that that would obviously lean into
Again,
the Jared Leto.
Tron is supposed to look like
China.
Alan, so I don't really know how that little switch up would happen. But
No,
that'd
of
be
course,
wild.
you can
That'd
do
be
anything
wild.
with the digital world, though.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him again. It's totally possible that Tron died in that little scene that we.
Well,
did
we
see
do
at the end of
know
Legacy
that
as well.
Kevin Flynn is back
Yes,
in Ares.
that's true, and it's weird because, as we both recently found out, they did not really want to reveal that Jeff Bridges was going to be in this movie.
Yeah,
and he kind of let it
spilled the
slip.
beans.
He spilled the beans a little bit, and it kind of made the marketing team make a little pivot and really he's really a part of the marketing now, and
yeah.
I'm kind of scared.
Another
about that
cause for concern, in a way.
Let's be
I
real.
feel like he'll be in it for maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's be real. He's not going to be in it for over 5 minutes, maybe even less, and that's just crazy because he's always been a big selling point of the franchise. He's kind of been the lead of the last two movies, and it's going to be interesting to see a movie where he really isn't a central figure. He's not going to be a central
Kevin
figure
Flynn
in this
is obviously, in my eyes, the main character.
movie. He is the main character of the franchise.
Sam Flynn took on the role of the main protagonist of the second film, but we obviously knew Kevin wasn't going to come back to the real world. He might just be a part of the digital world in some way, like sort of like, I guess, a spirit, within the grid, within the machine. I'm just kind of wondering, can he travel through all grids? How is he going to be presented in this film? And
Yeah.
I guess really why is Ares going to be speaking with him? I'm very, very interested to see how it plays out. And, I'm happy Bridges is back, obviously, Once he revealed it, they were gonna sell it on him, obviously.
Yeah. Well, this has always been an interesting franchise to really talk about too, because let's be real, it is Disney's black sheep. It's not really known as something that is super popular, yet there are a lot of fans to it. It has a huge cult following,
Yeah.
which is true. That I think a huge indication of the franchise is Tron Uprising, which was a series that has a lot of fans, but it only could last for one season because it could not get the viewership.
Yeah, it's a good series.
It just could not get the viewership that it really needed for it to keep pushing. But there are really some diehard fans in that series.
And that's also why fans are concerned because, good movie or not, bringing Jared Leto in, we've mentioned, cause for concern. And they feel that, if Disney's going to just have him at the forefront and just release this movie with, I wouldn't say the marketing has been the strongest. 15 years after Legacy, fans are expecting them to really push it. And I think a lot of people are suspecting that Disney might just be trying to cash in on the fans that, are still a little, they want to see something else, but I don't know if Disney's really in for making this a long-lasting franchise. I don't know if they're super confident in it.
I can't really blame them because it's never been a franchise that's put up any numbers or anything that's shown them that people want this to be a long.
I think something that I need to note as well.
I want it to be. That doesn't mean everyone else does.
Yeah, something we need to note as well is that with Jared Leto, I don't want to say it's a complete cause for concern because you're right. He's been involved with this for so long. Producer. There were rumors that he even helped finance it. I don't know if that's true. But it does look like he cares, and they're presenting it that way. I said earlier in this that might be a good or bad thing. I just want to hope.
Yeah,
I want to hope.
Like I said before,
we've waited 15 years for this. We're definitely in the boat that we've been waiting to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's seriously because we did watch this in theaters in 2010, or Legacy in theaters in 2010. And it's been a while. It hasn't been like that first wait that Tron fans had from 82 to 2010, but it's been 15 years, and I'm ready to see what this franchise has to offer.
Well,
still.
everything for the first two, rewatching them as well, you obviously see a substantial jump, in just the visuals and this movie. It was how they've been talking about it. They kind of said that ILM really treated this as like the holy grail when it comes to visual effects, and I really hope that's true because from what we've seen, the sequences, with I guess the identifier or the recognizer on Earth, and the scenes with the light bikes, which are for the first time are actually practical light bikes. Mm-hmm. They wanted to kind of bring it, show that it's being brought into the real world. They wanted to present it, differently. There's a reason they look different from the first two. There's a big, progression of the light bikes. they definitely look very interesting in Ares, and that's because they're practical bikes now.
Yeah.
And we're also bringing in. I think we should note that the production designer from Legacy is back for Ares.
Yeah.
But we are going from the grid to the real world now. From what we've seen, it looks very interesting visually.
100%.
But there's obviously a few things that I've seen as well that are like, shots of just normal vehicles, Ares driving them, and some snow. There seems to be some like a snow sequence or something. If we get light bikes and stuff involved with that could be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm really.
But if we're getting full sequences of just regular vehicles and
yeah, I'm hoping for a lot of bit of I want to see more of the grid, and I do want to see the grid merging with the real world, but I do want a good balance of the two.
I'm kind of concerned over nothing there because I do think that's the idea here. We're trying to mesh the real world with the grid, and it's going to be very different from the first two movies because they take place for the most part in a digital world.
Mm-hmm.
This is really trying to do something different. It was obviously where the franchise should go, but I am interested in how much the grid is shown in this film as well.
Yeah,
we got 2 weeks to go, and I'd say in the meantime, if you haven't seen this franchise, give it a shot.
Yeah,
and I understand Leto, but
yes,
I really do hope this film surprises a lot of us.
Yeah, Leto aside, give this underrated franchise a chance. For Give Me Rent, I'm Dylan.
I'm Noah.
Catch you guys next time.